You know, Andy Serkis has a company where they do the mocap for games. I started off by doing some experimenting on a game that I was going to do for them, but then I booked the lead in a pilot in America. Andy was very kind and let me bow out.
There was one scene that I really loved where Clive meets Anabella.
She's very deluded as a character, isn't she? She's got these stoic values. That's where that sort of evil inclination comes from, because she must. She is experiencing Alan coming in and out of her world as a sort of menacing ghost-like figure, unlike her partner. She goes through this journey of, oh my God, what's happening? Is it my fault? Where are you? To, he's a villain. I need to find a way to fight.
Hey everybody, welcome to Behind the Voice podcast. I'm joined by the wonderful Christina Cole, who you must know has played Alice Wake in Alan Wake 2, also played Annabelle in Final Fantasy 16 and various other games. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How's your year been so far? How's it going so far?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I did a TV series at the beginning of the year called My Fault, which is based on a book series. A Spanish book series, I think. And I think they might have a version of it in a TV series over there. We shot it in Tenerife, actually. And yeah, it's going to be on Amazon. So that was really good fun. I'm a mum, because I'm a mum now. And these are the roles I play. So yeah, I have officially hit that point. Which is good. It's real. It's authentic.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And you did, you've done so many shows now. You've done so many movies, and according to what I found, it's been 22 years that you've been working as an actor in this industry. When did you figure out that acting is going to be something that I should be doing? Maybe let's check it out. Let's try this.
I was at school, and I was never particularly academic, and I always loved art, drama. And so I continued it into my A-levels. And I just had a really good tutor who said, you should try out at drama school. And I said, what's that? Because I don't come from, I don't, it was not on my radar. That's not what my family do. And so I took the ball and ran with it. And yeah, I got in and won a scholarship, and the rest is history. So yeah.
That's beautiful. I'm just imagining, or even wondering whether your parents at the time, since you mentioned that it was not something that you came up with, were your parents at the time were kind of supportive of the idea, or were like, there were some issues at the time, or what was going on?
They were supportive. I think they were relieved that my higher education was going to be paid for, actually, because I'd won that scholarship, to be honest.
Makes sense.
But yes, no, they were. I think they were excited for me. They knew that that was my thing, and I really enjoyed it. So they wanted to see what would happen next. And yeah, I just started working. So
that's wonderful.
They were pleased, relieved.
I'm so happy that the parents supported you in the way, and you have worked so much. And your first movie, I think you got your first role when you were still in drama school. If I'm correct me.
That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically the rule was, we had to do showcases in the last year of drama school. So it's 3 years. We did them earlier on in the whole year to prospective agents. I managed to secure an agent through that. And so I started auditioning. And I think the rule was at the time, it has been 22 years, as you just pointed out, so it might well be different now, that you had to get over something like 5 or 10 days of work for you to then graduate early, which I did do, because I booked What a Girl Wants, and that was a few months worth of work. So I was like, yes, get in. I'm leaving early. Phew. So yeah.
Wow. What do you remember of working on that role? Because you were in the movie a very mean person.
I know. I loved it. It was brilliant. Come on. Those kind of villains they're so much fun to play. And it was like a dream come true, straight out of drama school into a movie like that. Come on. And with all that talent to work with as well, it was just a gift that landed in my lap. I was very, very grateful.
Oh, so. Yeah. When I announced that you will be my guest, like in social media and everything, there are a few people who came by and be like, "What a girl wants." I know from that movie. I know she was in that movie. It's so cool to see her, go across all these movies and all that stuff. And there were those questions always like, "Oh, what does she think?" Like, looking back at that very first movie and how it is and how it has been all these years later. And people still remember that movie, so that's pretty cool.
I know, it's
Yeah.
crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's still on repeat. But it's great. It's obviously stood the test of time, and people still love it. It's lovely. It's a nice, light-hearted teen kind of movie. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And other movies that I remember you from was Casino Royale that you were a receptionist in, which was a
Yes.
very fun role. I was like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you remember that
Yeah.
shooting that for that movie? Because I think that was the first James Bond of Daniel Craig. I think so. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that like?
Yeah. It was amazing. I was actually involved in the casting process to cast the Bonds. So, yeah, which I won't be able to talk about who they were because I've signed NDAs on that. But yeah, but so they hire professional actresses. I think there's only 2 that are hired to go through the scenes because it's obviously very important for them to test out who they want as their next Bond. And the director and I got on really well. He loved what I did, and he just said, "Would you like to be in it?" And I said, "No, I'm too busy." "Yes, of course I would." Yes. So they wrote me a little role in it. It was a kind of thanks.
I mean, you know
So
what?
yeah.
Now that like Daniel Craig's part is done, there's more James Bond news coming. Who's going to be next? Would you like to go back into that movie again, play a much larger role?
Obviously, but I didn't. So yeah. Yeah, that would be great. But yeah.
I mean, you could be probably. I don't know if James Bond ever had a sidekick. I don't think so. But you could be like an extra big role, and it would be fun to see you do like probably stunts and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm just daydreaming it.
Yeah, wouldn't that? I know. It
That'd
would
be
be
fun.
really good fun.
Yeah.
But there you go.
One of the shows that you were super like one of the shows that have been super popular, and you've been so many shows. Suits was the one that a lot of people came
Yeah.
by, and you've been in so many seasons. What did you think of this your time on the show? Because I believe your last episode happened or came out like almost 6 years ago or so. What was your time
Yeah.
there?
It was amazing. Do you know, from start to finish, I had such a great time on that show. It's such a well-oiled machine. The director, writer, everybody, the creator, just the scripts were fantastic for a start. And then I loved all the actors that I worked with. Everybody was wonderful. And so it was lovely to then be invited back for the next season as his girlfriend. And that gave me another huge character arc to go through. I loved it. It was brilliant. Really
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah, I love the relationship. You continue staying the girlfriend. The relationship changed. Things didn't work out the best
Yeah.
way. So I really like that arc that she had because I also thought like,
Yeah.
okay, you're gonna be there for probably that season, and most probably not gonna come back because that's how it usually happened. That's how I guessed. I think.
Yeah.
But it was very cool to see you come back again and to have this
Yeah.
arc, have that whole relationship play out. Very fun. I really loved it. There's so many people.
Again, we got on so we
Yeah.
got on so well, and I think they were happy with my work. Well, they were happy with my work, otherwise they wouldn't have invited me back. And then that's why they decided to bring that character back. So yeah,
Absolutely.
lucky
That's
me.
wonderful. Yeah. With all these shows and movies, if you could like kind of going back again, what are some of the things that you learned all at this time that you wish you could have known at that time?
Oh, uh, I think one of my biggest regrets was probably Hex, when I did a series called Hex.
Yeah.
I played Cassie, and at the time I thought, I'm not going to do another season. I got some bad advice and I decided that it wasn't for me. But in hindsight, I was very young, naive. I didn't have a mentor, and nobody in my family was in this industry. I had no idea how lucky I was, and I should have stuck it out. So if I was going to speak to my younger self, I would say, excuse me, just stay where put. But apart from that, I don't know. It's all been it's all been experience. I've been really fortunate to have these gifts of a job, and I always approach every role with a sense of playfulness and excitement about creating a character with the team, and yeah, much like I do with the video games. It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question. I'm not sure if I took it in a different way there. I think
No. That completely answered the question. I totally understand. And to be honest, one of the things I kind of do share in that way where, being grateful and not, kind of giving up and stuff like that, where, because sometimes you're working in an industry where you don't have anybody else that is working there. So you're kind of like working by yourself. So you don't really know maybe who to follow, who to really listen to, and that kind of mixes your decision making, and you do take some
yeah,
decisions. It's hard, yeah.
yeah.
So happy that you have so many seasons, so many shows, so many movies worked upon, and then games as well. And then I think you've done 7 games, I believe so. How did you got into games? Was that something that was just an audition that came by? Or was there something more?
How did I get into it? Do you know, I did, Andy Serkis has a company where they do the mocap for games.
Yeah.
I started off by doing some experimenting on a game that I was going to do for them. But then I booked the lead in a pilot in America, and Andy was very kind and let me bow out. But that started my connection with Side, who look after talent and do all the actors into games and stuff over here in the UK. And yeah, that just sort of started the ball rolling.
Wow. Perfect. Yeah, it's so many people are now, because of games and how it's going, how the storytelling is, a lot more people are like getting more interested in being acting or becoming an actor in video games specifically now. And because of these all interesting stories, and you've been part of 2 games that came out last year. One of them was...
Well, it's become more elaborate, hasn't it, as time has
Yes.
passed on. Like you said with the Alan Wake, you've got these amazing scenes that have been written that it becomes, you really get to shape a character, and so it's really good fun. It's actually quite interesting shaping a character from just the voice alone as well. Before I'd obviously done Alice in Alan Wake, I was just doing voices, and I love that aspect because you can just rock up in your pajamas if you want to. I wouldn't do that, but you can, and just go and create a character with your voice and the creative team, and it's a culmination of ideas. Yeah, so I love that approach as well.
That's so cool. Yeah, like as you mentioned, it's been because of these games having these interesting stories, because at one point games didn't have, way back, the games didn't have like that much of a story depth. Characters were just characters that were there, but now characters have much more layers in it, and if you explore them, you get to know them. If the game explores it, you get to see more sides of it, and that has made a lot of people interested in playing these games which has more story, and Alan Wake is one of them, and Final Fantasy 16 is also that you worked on, is another one. And you played in such an incredible role there in Final Fantasy 16. Anabella, who's also another one of those people who everybody hates when they're playing the game. Everybody just hates that character because of how different she is. What was your thought like going into that game and working and playing that character, Anabella? What do you think about that character overall?
So when you go, normally you're given a brief and a sort of picture of the character, particularly for Final Fantasy. I didn't actually see, did I see a picture of Alice before? No, a sort of an idea of what, obviously she's my likeness. But with Final Fantasy, you're sort of given this idea of what this character is, which is lovely, because then you can, with the breakdown of the character that they give with you, and also the comments from the director, you create this lovely voice that goes with the experience of the character, and to go on this sort of journey that they go on. And yeah, I like I said, it's very interesting and fun getting to play those sort of jaded, more sinister characters.
Yeah, yeah, she is definitely that sinister character, definitely for sure. Because
Yeah.
whenever I see like scenes like on YouTube and stuff, and I like reading comments, I see comments, and everybody's like, "Wow, her character has gone through so much stuff," and every time everybody ends up saying, well, she's just a bitch, so of course she does this, and then it just goes on. Everybody just go like, hating that character so much, and I'm like, this is great. I love
Good.
this.
That's brilliant. That's the purpose, isn't it? So yeah.
Yeah, that's
Good.
that's the purpose, definitely. There was one scene that I really loved of your character. Was I think it was kind of like the final scene as well of your character at the same time, where Clive meets Annabella, and she has like her son, her other son, and there's this whole
Yeah.
scene which is very powerful because now she's trying to tell to Clive like, oh, it should have been him. Should have been him gone. Joshua should have been the actual son. Like, you should not be here, and all that stuff.
Mm.
Very strong, and that was this exchange between of mother and the son, which is
We did
very,
have to play around with those scenes quite a bit.
yeah.
She's very. I mean, she's on the edge as a character anyway, because her world very much hinges on the success of her children, but also she's so what's the word? She's very deluded as a character, isn't she? She's got these she's stoic values, and she lives by them, and she can't see beyond those, and that's where that sort of evil inclination comes from, because she must achieve what she wants to achieve, and when her world is crumbling down by that point, it was fantastic for me to play, because she's just losing control of everything's falling off, isn't it? And yeah, it's very sad for her, but also you kind of think, thank God, because she's such a horrible person. Yeah. Obviously, as the gamer.
As a person who's playing the game, they're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Like when obviously this is like spoilers and stuff, but like when she died, everybody, probably some people are sad, but like most people were like, yes, she's dead, like, and all that like celebratory moments. But
as the actor, when you're approaching a scene like that, you have to have empathy. You have to understand where she's coming from in order to play the truth of the situation. That's the long and short of what I was trying to get at there. Is that, yes, I understood where she was coming from. Not that I have those values.
Oh, absolutely. How challenging is it for you to get into a mindset of a character who has these issues, or a very strong, very different mindset of her own? Is it a challenging thing? Does it take a long process? Like, how do you go by?
It is slightly longer process, because you have to find where you empathize with the character. But there's always a sense of, like I said, I'm a mum as well, so I understand where that sort of fierce mother lion comes out. I understood that. I understood wanting your children to live and succeed and be healthy. But so you use the tools in the kit that you have that correlate and align with those characters, and imbue them with characters that from life or movies and life experience that you have, and it's sort of it's this lovely artistic culmination of all of these elements that you then patch up this character and make and form this character with.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see that you're able to go into that mindset, and then the character is able to just as a player, we just see the final thing, but it's so incredible to just know that you had to work through it to get to that zone, to empathize with the character who is a villain, really, and so hateable. But
it was also the fantastic directors that I worked with, a wonderful creative team, and it was with their influence in mind as well that we managed to create what we did. I loved working with them. It was really good fun.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And if there was a point in the world where you could meet Annabella, is there something that you would like to tell her that could possibly help her?
Yeah, I'd probably say, right, you might need a bit of therapy. let's sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to talk about your values in life. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, just take this number. This is a very good therapist. Go there now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand that. What has been your biggest takeaway from working on this game? Because this game reached, like, a lot of people play this. They really enjoyed the stories because there were so many stories in this game, and this relationship was very cool. What do you think about, what was your biggest takeaway?
That I just had an amazing experience working on it, and that it would be wonderful for in another to work in another game as another character within the context of Final Fantasy. They're such fun people to work with, and the cutscenes are so well written that it would just be a fun experience to just do all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so cool because somebody who has not played the game, they can just watch on YouTube now. They can watch like the whole scene, whole movie thing that people just bring these cutscenes together, edit them out, and it becomes like a full movie. It's too long to watch, but it becomes a full movie that everybody can see and experience it as if it's not really a game, it's a movie. So it's really, really cool to see that. And one of the other games, obviously Alan Wake 2, that a lot of people are just blown away by your work, and me included, because the players were not seeing your character in the game as if like a game character. We were seeing you as these clips that you yourself recorded.
Yeah, almost like a ghost, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
And so that was because those messages that the character was delivering were so powerful. What was the process of recording those scenes like? Because you mentioned that you went to Finland for that. How was that whole workaround for that?
It's funny because you do those scenes and you never have, like, I've never met Ilka, I've never met David Harewood. It's you have to create that character and the emotional journey all on your own. But there's sort of an artistic freedom in that as well. And again, the creative team was amazing. The script was really good. I just enjoyed. It's quite a theatrical. It's almost because it's CGI as well. The way they do it. So I had to like jump off the bridge, so onto a crash mat, all of those kind of things, and be at my desk, and it was all very darkly lit with all this ambience and stuff like that. And then other bits that I can't accurately remember, but it was a really fun, creative process to be a part of. Yeah, so it's funny because with Final Fantasy you can draw on. I've done quite a lot of period drama things, so I understood the limitations of that character with Annabelle, and you can understand, you can empathize with her insofar as her life is so restricted to conforming. It's to her, all of her success will be through her children, will be through the men in her life. She has never, she's not allowed that kind of status. And so having that sort of pushback creates such a drive, particularly for someone with of her nature. Whereas with Alice, it's completely different. And I loved working with the whole sort of ghostly elements, because she's haunted as well. It's not just Alan that is. She is experiencing Alan coming in and out of her world, particularly with the scripts I work with, as a sort of menacing ghost-like figure, unlike her partner. So she goes through this journey of, oh my God, what's happening? Is it my fault? Where are you? To, he's a villain, he is violent, I need to push back, I need to find a way to fight this character. So she uses her camera and everything to sort of fight back. So she has this brilliant arc that she goes through to achieve what she hopes to achieve. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah.
I love it. Those scenes were really powerful, and obviously towards the end it becomes more powerful and more emotional. But it's such a incredible game. This is, with the story, with such twists and turns and darkness all filled around it. It's a survival horror
It's
theme.
very dark.
Yeah, it's very,
Yeah.
very dark. How did you know about this universe before? Did you know anything about the game before, or did you need to know about this game in order to play the role?
I don't think well, they gave me a bit of a breakdown on the game before and where they sat as a couple and what had actually happened to them. Obviously, those elements are important. You need to have the backstory to get to where you. But the rest of it was a lot of it was in the script that I was presented with, which was great. I asked quite a few questions when I was going through the audition process, and yeah, and obviously you are wonderfully directed in the moment by Sam when I was there, and just tweaking and fine-tuning the way a performance goes. We did quite a number of takes for him to feel like, yeah, I've got what I need here for these cutscenes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's been such a popular game, actually.
Oh, yes.
Why do you think it's so popular? In its, I mean, obviously it's fantastic. The writing's brilliant and everything. Do you think it's because there's the filmic aspect to it that's made it so popular?
I think it's like all of the above. If there were options, there was all of the above. It's essentially the storytelling, how in some ways dark it is, because the first game was more actiony. This game is more dark. There's some interesting storytelling
it really
going
is,
on.
isn't it?
Yeah. So that's why people got so much into it. And then obviously there's this live action things and in-game stuff. It's just the Twin Peaks kind of inspiration that has been taken from this on this game. It's like all of that comes together and just works just well. And this all the weirdness, not exactly weirdness, all the things that a video game is not supposed to have is here. There's musical numbers and all that stuff, so people just get excited for all of that.
I feel like I have to play it. You know, I'm not a gamer. I'm going to be very honest with you. I haven't. I mean, the gaming extent in my house is probably Reading Eggs, ABC Mouse. You know, kids stuff. I've got very young children, so we do. You know, that's not really a reality here. But I feel like I need to just experience it now.
Yeah, I mean, it is. To be honest, it will be definitely. I hope you can experience it at some point in time, because, and again, it's a game with controlling, shooting, and all that stuff. So it might be a little hard if you haven't played games, and then getting in and you have to do all these stuff. I'm like, oh my god. So
this is right up there. I should start low.
This is I believe this is way up there. But at the same time, I mean, if you have someone, you can bring someone along. They can, or maybe you can switch something like that. Maybe you can help, because I've seen some people probably play it just for the first time and they figured it out. I mean, they can figure it out, but to be honest, but the storytelling is the one reason that everybody was able to stick in. So yeah, that's why everybody loves it.
Yeah. All the cutscenes, all the cutscenes. It's funny because when I auditioned for this, whenever I go up for the video games, there's always code names. So you are never actually told what the real game is. And I was given the information that this had a sort of Twin Peaks element to it. But that was it. And there was this huge arc, because obviously my cutscenes are sort of all combined. And they wanted to stretch out for the audition purposes. They stretched out one of the in particular scenes. And so I had this huge emotional arc to go on. But I felt like that anyway, because when I went to Finland to do my cutscenes, we had to get such a huge emotional journey into this small amount of time, which I absolutely loved the challenge of, by the way. It was brilliant. It was really good fun.
That's wonderful. Yeah, Sam Lake, I had him on the show earlier, and he had so many, because he had so many ideas. I don't know what his brain is like, but he has so many insane ideas. And I was talking about Alice and everything else. And so how was it working like with him on these scenes to make it, like, you know, you mentioned like you did no number of takes so that he can be like, feel like, okay, this is it. This is where we need to go. How was that like?
I think he was pleased that, you know, because I've worked a lot. I always come prepared. We worked quite fast. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I wanted to do with the character based on what I'd already worked on before. So it was quite fast in the room. So I think there was a sense of relief with Sam as well, because they were very much at the end of their shooting process and actually getting to get the game together. Because I think I started, like, I don't know, I committed myself to the job, I think 2 years before, and I'd done the what's it called, the facial visual thing that they need to do. It's like, yeah, oh my god, that's really weird. You're in like this sort of round tank with bits all over your face, like lots of lights coming everywhere. It's so bizarre. I mean, if you're in any way don't like contained spaces, it's not for you, but it's a very surreal experience. But I did that like 2 years before we actually came to shoot the stuff in Helsinki.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a long process. And I could tell they were a little bit tired by the time they got to my stuff. But obviously, we just banged it out in a couple of days, and it was really good fun. It was a great process.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys worked on it for 2 days, like all the shoots, all that stuff was all done in 2 days.
Yeah.
Wow. That's insane.
Well, obviously not there was additional vocal elements to it that I then had to go into a sound studio for. But the cut scenes, yeah.
Wow. That's wonderful. I did not know.
That's right.
Yeah, I did not know that there was like a whole scanning thing that was done for you, because for
well, because it was my likeness, isn't it? So
definitely.
they have to, you have to get all of that. So, and I think the body scans happened later on, but yeah, weird, but fun.
Yeah, I'm just imagining how it is to be in that space, because there's so many cameras. You have some light and all of that. I don't know how it like feels to be in that space.
Yeah,
all these
you're
cameras.
claustrophobic. You're not going to get on well with it.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm not, so I was fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because you mentioned that there was some body scanning and all that stuff was done. And usually it's done to like have that character in the game, but we didn't really see the character model and all that stuff inside the game. So I was like wondering, like, okay, interesting that scannings were done and all that stuff. Maybe there was more, maybe there was less, maybe there was not needed. But it was really cool to know that story again.
For the face specifically, yeah. For the face specifically, there were. And then when we actually shot the scenes, I didn't wear any mocap then. They were actually proper shot scenes. Yeah, which I wasn't expecting. I was fully expecting that I would have to wear mocap, but then I'm quite a novice to knowing how this actually works. So, yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, because there's so many other live action scenes that happen as well. You did those, but then Ilka also had a number of scenes, which is all done in a set, everything like how you did. And then they did a full musical number as well, which is all done. And Sam Lake.
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah.
Did you get to see that musical at all?
I haven't. I feel like I need to see it now because, you guys talked about it in previous interviews. It sounds really fun.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's minds were blown away by that, because nobody expected in a video game, which is horror, there's darkness, all of a sudden has a musical number in it and everybody's dancing.
Yeah.
And, it's essentially tells the whole story.
But that's kind of genius, right? Because it's added a whole other layer to the game, which has made it the success that it is. So it's really clever.
It is. And it was like a 9-minute long kind of thing. And in the game, you can go for however long, but the main video, you can even watch it, which is 9 minutes long. And the main song is like 13 minutes long. And then there's a version which is 30 minutes long, which has all the loops and everything. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. They worked.
That's quite unusual for a game, right?
That is very unusual for a game. Yeah. And people just loved it. And everybody does their dance and stuff. So there were a lot of people thinking like maybe Alice should have been involved in there in some ways, and she would have danced as well.
That would have been fun. Yeah. Yeah.
That would have been great.
Oh, bless her. But she's quite a haunted, that she doesn't have that sort of light aspect to her character, does she? Not to her journey throughout. She's very haunted by the whole process of her story with him. Yeah. But it'd be nice to see her having a bit of a dance with Alan at some point, wouldn't it? Yeah.
That would be great, yes, because these guys, there was Game Awards last year, and they also performed live in front of the audience. And so Sam Lake and Ilka and David Edward, all these people are there on stage doing all that. So I'm like, that's very cool. Everybody was so happy.
Yeah.
Sam Lake had the best smile on his face because his dream came true in a game. So it was very cool. But yeah, you mentioned like Alice had these issues in her relationship. Obviously, with what's happening, she was afraid of seeing this ghostly version of Alan. What do you think about this relationship that Alice had or has with Alan throughout the game? Because towards the end things change, but like obviously as we are seeing it, she's not doing well.
No, she's not doing well creatively, is she? And I think there are problems within the relationship before everything comes to the headlet like it does. They are challenged in their relationship before he starts to lose it. And then when he does, you know, she tries to take him to see a doctor, doesn't she?
Yes.
And that's when it all goes wrong. So bless her, she has tried to make their relationship a success. She does, you know, work with what they have. Yes, they've gone through their story, but most relationships do. So it's very tragic what happens next.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Did you get to watch those scenes at all?
I'm not very good at watching myself. I tend to not. I prefer, it's done, the job is done, I can't change it, it's done, it's out there. But unless I'm looking for something specific that I did where I want to actually see, or did that work, I tend to just leave it.
Is that something like where you see it and then you start picking out like, oh, this is not done well, that was not done well?
You see, the problem is I would pick myself to pieces. But like I said, if I was looking for something specific that I did to see if it worked, then I would watch it. Other than that, it's done.
Yeah, totally understandable. Yeah. But as I mentioned, the scenes have been so powerful, and especially, and I would love to talk about a little spoiler side of things, because towards the end, and how we thought what's happening with her, and how she had like the final kind of message of what she's trying to give, and this is it, and where, you know, things ended for her, how we supposedly as players saw that she ended herself or something. And so that final message was so strong and so powerful, and everybody, like I myself was like holding my breath, like, what is going on? This is no way. And then we are seeing that imagery of what she's doing. I'm like, no way, what are we seeing in this game? Like, oh my God. And I remember talking to Matthew, he was like, because he played it with his son, and is talking at that probably moment, he literally shouted, oh no, like, because of what happened, and because he was so in it. And I was like, yes, that's you know what what was that scene?
I wonder, because Matthew probably hadn't known that was coming, right? Because I didn't see a full version of the script, so I don't know the rest of this. And as I say, because I haven't played the game, I'm not entirely sure I know where it ends. So I know what I shot and I know what I brought to the role, but I'm going to have to watch the game now. I'm going to have to play the game. Let's hope I can do it. I might be getting in touch with you going, oh my God, how do I get past this level? I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I mean, it's always insane, because everybody who plays the game, or like playing games in general, they think like, okay, actors who are, you know, playing these roles, they know the story, or they know what's happening from the beginning till the end, or that's how they record, you know, consecutively, or like one by one. But that does not happen that way. It's like,
no, there has to be we all sign NDAs. There has to be that element of secrecy, because they just don't want to risk. There's too much involved in it. They don't want to risk that anything would get out and be a spoiler for people who pay and love the games, pay for and love the games, and want to play them without knowing what's coming. So yeah,
totally makes sense. And it's interesting that you don't exactly know how the story ends per se, or what the character is.
No, because that's opposite to what I normally do as an actor. You know, I know from the beginning to end what my character's doing within something, that, you know, but it's a completely different way of working, which is fun. It's great. It's a new challenge.
It is a new challenge. But yeah, I do hope that you get to, I don't know if you can get the time, to be honest, because I know that you have so many stuff to do, and this is a big game and it takes time. And so I hope at one point in time you get the chance to play it, because everybody's roles and everybody's characters and its stories are so fun to see, just so fun to experience. Became like one of my favorite games of last year, and I still like just play their songs. Everything is so good. But before we end up, like, there's some questions that fans wanted to ask you. I hope that's okay too.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. All right, Sayori, pronouncing her name wrong, asks what she wanted to actually say this, that she wanted to thank you for your incredible, raw, and outstanding performance as Alice. Your scenes shook her to the very core and are one of the best scenes in the whole game. That said,
Oh,
did you know or play Alan Wake 1 before joining the cast?
no. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. It was a whole new journey for me to go on. I was given as much information as they could give me entering the role. And the rest was the creative process with the team and me bringing elements to the character.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, as I said, like so many people, there's so many comments that had said like the scenes just killed me. This like blew me away. Outstanding performance. I cannot believe I watched all these. So there was a lot of those questions, comments and your performance. So I just want to say that from everybody's point of views and everything, you did such a great job like portraying that role, because we felt I was scared.
well, Alice is a creative as well, isn't she? She's a photographer, and I'm a creator, so I understand the highs and lows within that, and then also to be paired with someone who's also experiencing the highs and lows adds another layer to relationships, and so I sort of imbued that truth to the journey of the character. So I could empathize and understand where she was coming from to a certain extent.
Yeah, totally understand.
I don't see ghosts though, so. I've never seen a ghost. I couldn't. Yeah,
I've not seen either.
that I had to work on.
Yeah. We all have, also have to work on. And hopefully, I can get some. Hannah asks, acting in different mediums has different challenges. How have those challenges helped you as an actress?
It's like life, isn't it? Every life just has hurdles to go through, and they just give you this wonderful, multifaceted resilience that we go through. And I think just going through the journey of being an actor and coming up against hurdles that you need to get through to get to the next stage, or within your characters, or within the jobs, or not getting roles that you've put yourself through, it just gives you a tougher skin. And it also, as I get older, I'm able to bring more to each of my characters just because I have more lived experience. I can understand and imbue that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Charlie asked, what was it like to work on an episode of Doctor Who?
Do you know, that was one of my favorite jobs to date. I absolutely loved it because it's just playing. That's why I got into this industry, because I love the escape. It's not about, oh, I must get to here, I must win these awards. For me, it's more about being presented with a character and getting to play. It was wonderful. I loved it. I loved the Shakespearean element with the witch, wearing the prosthetics, the people I worked with. I worked with Charlie Palmer before as well, the director.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we'd done another TV series before. And I just loved it. It was such good fun. I got to cackle. We were going to have a sword fight before the romance scene, but there was an accident on set where our stunt doubles, when they were doing the wide shot, the male stunt double had his eye. His eye got cut. So it was slashed. Obviously, it was just a genuine mistake where he didn't put his foot in the place where his foot had gone in the rehearsals. So. But that's what being a stuntsman is. It's that, those things can happen. So we cut that, and then it was a love scene. I was like, oh, come on, let's do it. But there we go. Can't I just bring out a wand and but no.
Yeah, just wand and just fight with the wand. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
Oh, Doctor Who is such an iconic series anyway. So yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's brilliant. You just nailed
Especially
it.
when I flew in through the window as well. I wanted to fly in through every window after that, but sadly the budget would not allow it. Oh. Anyway.
Oh, you never know. Maybe there's more to Doctor Who, and then there's more to you.
Or there's another witch role out there. Maybe, who knows? Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Lei Ju asks, did you meet other members of the cast from Alan Wake 2?
No.
No?
Sadly, no. That's not how.
Yeah.
Well, I think David and Ilka got to work together, didn't they? But
Yeah, they
did
did.
they only get to work together at the point of? No, they got to work together before they actually did the game conference thing, awards.
Yeah.
Yes. No, sadly, I did not. Would have been nice. They're
Would have been.
brilliant.
Yeah, would have been nice. There were
Lovely people.
yeah, wonderful people. There was one scene in the game where three cast members kind of meet together. They have the scene together actually. So everybody, or yeah, three of them. So everybody now hopes that in another game, in the next game, maybe all the cast members get to be in a scene together, and they all communicate with each other. That's kind of like everybody's dream at this point, and they always post that on social media. So let's see. Maybe we might see that. Who knows?
Maybe.
Anna asks, "What music genre do you think would be Alice's favorite?"
It's got to be indie rock, hasn't it?
Oh yeah,
I reckon. Yeah. I just get that sense of the way she dresses herself, from the costume, and the way she presents herself. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, totally. I was already imagining that like she has to be in some way there, but I was like, maybe I'm wrong because I cannot judge.
No,
really,
she's a bit grungy, isn't she? She's a bit. Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah.
Perfect. Charlotte has an interesting thing. Since Alice does photography, have you ever tried photography yourself?
I am rubbish. My kids are better photographers than me. Oh my God, I really try hard. I really try. And I look at my pictures compared to my husband's. I'm like, what if I just, no, I don't have it. I don't have it in me.
Oh, man.
Disappointing.
I mean, not really. To be honest, it's hard to take photos. I feel like nowadays, even when I take photos, I'm like, what am I doing? Why are these photos so bad?
Yeah.
That's why.
If I've done a good one, it's my mistake. Definitely.
Okay. Dark Falcon asks, does your character in Suits love the protagonist more, less, or the same as your character in Alan Wake?
I would have thought the same. They both, they both have a. Otherwise, she wouldn't have Alice wouldn't have put herself through what she puts herself through if she didn't love Alan, and felt a deep sense of commitment to him. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Pavlina asks, how would you envision seeing Alice's future?
Well, I'd hope they'd get out of this sort of rut that they're in and sort of get back together. Gosh, because she puts herself through so much to be able to save him and save herself. I'd like to see that they have a future together in a happier place away from there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that happens.
In an ideal world, hopefully that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. In an ideal world, Alan, I don't know how will he ever get out of that darkness, but there's a hope someday. Flaming Sparrow has a question. In what ways are you similar to Alice, and in what ways do you differ from her?
Well, as you can see, I'm not particularly grungy. She is. I do like a bit of indie rock, but it's not really my go-to. I am a creative, so we are similar in that respect. I'm not a photographer, as we've just figured out. So yeah, like I say, I understand where she's coming from creatively and the challenges that she goes through, and I understand the ups and downs in relationships, etc. But yeah, I think that answers that. Those are the things that we have in common.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Tempered A-lister has a question of, what was the hardest line to record as Anabella?
I can't remember all the lines off the top of my head, but the hardest scene to record was the scene that you were talking about.
Oh, okay. With Clive Rosfield, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that is a very strong scene. I love that scene so much.
Yeah. She's a piece of work, isn't she? But such fun, such fun.
Yes. Another question with Final Fantasy is Zagata asked, what do you believe Anabella's motivation is?
For her youngest son to rule. That's what she wanted ultimately. Yeah, that's her motivation. Like I said, her power will be through her children and the men in her life, and that was what she was hoping to achieve.
Yeah, definitely. And I kind of feel sorry for her at the same time. A lot of times, like, I wish she was different, that way, and wish she didn't have those motives, and she didn't have to lead.
Well, I wish her circumstances were different to begin with, and
True.
probably the way she was raised was not, she has limitations, and unfortunately, she's not modelled herself to be a very nice person out of those circumstances.
Yeah, definitely. Well, if you had maybe a few things that you wanted to could advise people who are getting into acting business, getting into this industry, what would you like to tell them on what's more important and what's something to keep an eye out?
I would say you are going to go through your ups and downs. So I would say just make sure you have something else as well. Make sure it's not your entire world so that you can stay sane. That's what I would say. And then have fun, enjoy it. It's a great job. It is.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Christina, for joining today, for talking about all the work that you've done, all the wonderful work, all the games and everything else. Thank you so much. This was really cool. Finally getting to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Love this. And I'm super excited to see if there's anything next coming up in terms of video games, in terms of shows, movies. Is there something that you can mention on what's coming up for you? Or I don't know if you can mention anything, but is there something?
Video game wise, no, not at the moment. I mean, there's, like I said, there's always the possibility, but we don't get told all the titles. So I won't know until it's out there and I'll go, oh, it was that one. And of course, My Fault's coming out on Amazon, which is the TV series that I'm on. So.
Definitely.